The only way to dispel darkness is by introducing light, stopping by to help introduce some light into your day. Genesis chapter 21 is where we're going to be looking, starting at verse 17. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand. I will make him a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink. Hagar was in a horrible position. She was a slave. What she did was not really up to her. As a matter of fact, she was given to Abraham by Sarah as a concubine. She was given for the purpose of giving Abraham a male child. This was a decision of which she really didn't have a say. Furthermore, she births this child, and she finds herself now being despised by her owner, Sarah. Now, she didn't do everything right along the way, but this position of not really having a say and finding herself in the midst of trouble leads to her now being cast out, her and her son, and she realizes that her son is dying. He needs water, he is dehydrated, and she has no more water to give him. They've spent all that they had when they started out on the journey, and she puts him down and goes a distance off because she does not want to be there when he dies. She can be able to see him, but she does not want to be right there at that moment. Scripture tells us here that God had heard the cries of the lad. God had heard the boy crying. God was aware of what was going on there. And an angel comes down and begins to communicate with her. And God does this amazing thing of opening her eyes to see what she did not see before. We don't know if it showed up out of nowhere or if she was just blinded to it. But God gave her access to something that was locked off to her before. It's amazing how at times we find ourselves in situations which really we have no control over. And we are so distraught and in such despair over the situations that we completely forget the one that is in control of it all. Scripture says that God heard the cry of the lad. God hears our cries when we are dealing with things, when we're in situations, when we're in times where things are not as we wish they would be. We can be confident that God hears our prayer. Well, if God hears my prayer, why doesn't He do something for me? Why doesn't He change the situation? There are things that happen in situations. Sometimes we need to understand that God will change the situation. Other times, He will change us in the situation to perfect us and make us more like Him. But all of that aside, this is the part that I want to share with you this morning. God opens up Hagar's eyes to see what she could not see before. When we go through difficult times, we should make sure that we call on God because our sight is limited and His is limitless. God will open up our sight to see things that we did not see before, to consider things that we would not consider before. And when we feel like giving up, our first response should not be to shut down, roll over and die, but instead to cry out to the God whose vision is perfect, the God who sees everything, who knows everything, and the God who controls all. I want just to help you today to introduce some light into your darkness. Remember, cry out to God because He sees it all. Be a light to somebody else today. Share a word with somebody. It's Tuesday. Share your testimony, Testimony Tuesday, and introduce some light into somebody's day. God bless you. Love you. Have a wonderful day.